I will give way to the honourable gentleman, and then I am going to make progress so that others can speak in this debate.
I am extremely grateful for her giving way. She has been generous. She has talked about engagement with this House, and yesterday she referred to this House as the fulcrum of our democracy. Can I gently point out that she is the Prime Minister who went to the Supreme Court to stop us having engagement with this House? And the vote that we had yesterday was on the back of an amendment that she herself voted against. She talks about engagement with this House, but we have experienced nothing but hostility from the Prime Minister. Going forward, will she put her words into action? If not, she doesn't deserve to have the job in the first place.
Can I say to the honourable gentleman that I think he has been in this House on many occasions when I have come to listen to this House and have taken questions and answered questions from this House. In fact, it amounted from October through to December to a whole 24 hours spent answering questions in this House. But vital though Brexit is, there's much more to being the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And that is, after all, the job to which the right honourable gentleman, the Leader of the Opposition, aspires. If I may just, if my right honourable friend will just bear with me, I do just want to make some progress. I understand a significant number of members have put in to speak, and by putting forward this motion, the right honourable gentleman is asking this House to accept that he could be the next Prime Minister. So how would he have faced some of the big challenges that I have faced as Prime Minister over the last 2.5 years? When Russia launched a chemical attack on the streets of Salisbury, I worked with our allies to degrade Russian intelligence capabilities and hold those responsible to account. His contribution was to suggest that we ask Russia to double-check the findings of our own scientists. When the Syrian regime used chemical weapons to murder innocent men, women and children in Douma, I stood with our allies to uphold the international consensus that the use of chemical weapons should not be tolerated. He wanted to give an effective veto on action to President Putin and the Russian government, the very government that was supporting the Syrian regime. This is the leader of the party of Attlee called for the dismantling of NATO. The leader of the party of Bevan says Britain should unilaterally disarm herself and cross our fingers that others follow suit. The leader of the party that helped deliver the Belfast Agreement invited IRA terrorists into this Parliament just weeks after their colleagues had murdered a member of this House. His leadership of the Labour Party has been a betrayal of everything that party has stood for. A betrayal of the vast majority of his MPs and a betrayal of millions of decent and patriotic Labour voters. And I look across the House and see backbench members who've spent years serving their country in office in a Labour government. But I fear that today that is simply not a party that many of its own MPs joined. And if we want to see what he would do to our country, we can do no better than look at what he has done to his party. Before he became Labour leader, nobody could have imagined that a party which had fought so hard against discrimination could become the banner under which racists and bigots, whose worldview is dominated by a hatred of Jews, could gather. But that is exactly what has happened under the leadership of the right honourable gentleman. British Jewish families who have lived here for generations are asking themselves where they should go if he ever becomes Prime Minister. That is what has happened under the leadership of the right honourable gentleman. What we've also seen is a Jewish Labour MP who had to hire a bodyguard to attend her own party conference under the leadership of the right honourable gentleman. What he's done to his party is a national tragedy. What he would do to our country would be a national calamity.
Very grateful to the Prime Minister for being so generous and engaging in a debate, and as ever she could teach a few people lessons on that. Can I just go back to the question or the intervention from the Honourable Member for Hove, though? he makes, if I may suggest, a very important point, that whilst the Prime Minister has been very generous, Mr. Speaker, in coming to this place and answering questions, the complaint is that we have been excluded in a meaningful way at the outset in helping to determine the principles upon which a Brexit deal should be negotiated. And for many of us, Prime Minister, in seeking to be true to the oath and the promises to our constituents and voting for things against our own government, we've been threatened with deselection, threats against our safety and even death threats. And I know how seriously she takes that, and I thank her for her kindness last week in the note she sent to me. Would she now make it clear to anybody listening to all of this that we here, especially on these benches, but it applies also to honourable and right honourable members opposite, given the very wise words and observations she's just made about the state of the Labour Party, that it would be wrong for anybody to be intimidated or bullied in any way at all, simply for coming here and being true to what they believe in and what they believe is in the national interest.
Can I say to my right honourable friend, I think what she experienced I think last week was appalling. I understand that she has experienced other incidents more recently. And can I just say to her, I absolutely agree. Everybody in this House holds their opinions and their views with passion and commitment. And it should be right for everybody in this House to be able to express those views with passion, with commitment, and not feel that they are going to be subject to intimidation or harassment or bullying. I think that is very important. I'm sure that is a sentiment that commands approval across the whole of this House. And once again, I'm sorry to my right honourable friend for the experiences that she has gone through. Well, I will give way to the right honourable gentleman on this point, and then I am going to conclude and... I'm grateful.